So hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Rosie O'Brien Wojtek, and with us today is Bob Wojtek. We are the co-chairs for the Emmanuel Lutheran Church Scholarship Committee. We work with an excellent committee, some of whom may be joining us today for this webinar. So I just want to make sure that we thank all of our committee members for the important work that they do to help make the scholarship possible. We at Emmanuel Lutheran Church are very fortunate and blessed to have received the generous gifts from many donors throughout the years who have contributed to support members of our congregation, especially the youth of our church and youth in our neighborhood who are not necessarily members of the church, with scholarship funding in a variety of areas. Specifically, there are two scholarships, the Judy Johnson Scholarship and the Sven Vern Carlson Scholarship, that are needs-based and open to the neighborhood community, especially those living in Frog Hollow, along with Emmanuel Lutheran Church Youth. For these two scholarships, you do not need to be a member of the church to apply, but you may be. In addition, there are several scholarships that you may or may not be aware of, especially the Harper Music Scholarship for elementary, middle, and high school students, which we will discuss during this presentation. The purpose of today's webinar is to describe the scholarships available for the 2024-25 academic year, discuss who is eligible to apply, and walk you through the universal application that must be completed for anyone applying for a scholarship, including those who are applying for the Camp Calumet scholarships. The online universal application is new this year, so we want to make sure everyone interested in applying for one of the scholarships becomes familiar with the application with the application and the process. In addition, there are changes and updates to some of the scholarships, which we will talk about in just a couple of minutes. But most importantly, and I can't say this enough, is the deadline is June 30th, 2024 at midnight for all of our scholarships. Let me say that one more time. The deadline is June 30th, 2024 at midnight, no exceptions. Everything required for the scholarships you are applying for, including the online application, must be completed before the deadline, again, June 30th, 2024 at midnight. So we encourage you to get your applications submitted early before June 30th instead of waiting until the last minute. If during the process of completing your application, you have any questions, you can contact Bob and/or me via email, call, or text our cell phones. Our contact information is listed on the church website and on the application, so we'll show you where that is as we go through both of those documents.
So Rosie, question, is that a general form you fill out for any scholarship then, basically?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you for clarifying. Yes, absolutely, Rick.
Even Camp Calumet.
Okay, so that's really the doorway or window to any scholarship. Okay.
Any scholarship. And the reason we're doing that even for Camp Calumet is that because a lot of times it gets lost in translation. Somebody might just in passing tell someone that their child is applying for a camp or is going to camp and expect to get that camp scholarship, and then it falls through the cracks. So this way we have a running account of who's applying for what, and we can stay organized. It's something to help all of us. So for future reference, the webinar is being recorded today and will be posted on the church website so that you can go back and view it at any time while you're completing your scholarship application. And during this webinar, Bob and I want to keep our conversation as interactive as possible. So if you have questions or comments, please put them in the chat. Raise your hand, or like I said before we got started, go ahead and interject your questions like Rick just did. So thank you for modeling that, Rick. And we'll keep this going. Finally, we will briefly discuss each of the scholarships on the church website that are listed there. We will walk you through the online universal application. And once we have finished, then we'll go back and talk about the Modeen Scholarship in more detail and answer questions specifically about the Modeen Scholarship. We're organizing our webinar this way because the Modeen Scholarship is more detailed and it's just for a specific targeted group of students who are members in good standing with Emmanuel Lutheran Church with a GPA of at least 2.5, who have volunteered at least 10 hours of service during the previous year with the church, and who are enrolled in a 4-year college or university program. So we'll hit that afterwards so that if you're applying for the Modeen Scholarship, you don't need to attend or watch the entire webinar. We know how busy everyone is, so we're trying to be as brief and yet as thorough as we can to answer your questions and cover everything and that you need to know in order to apply for one of the, or more of the many scholarships. So let's get started. Bob has the website for the church up on his screen. And so we're going to go ahead and just walk you through how you might find the scholarships, first of all, and then how to do the application. So when you get to the church website, it's emmanuelhartford.org. And if you don't remember that, you can definitely Google Emmanuel Lutheran Church Hartford, and you should be able to find the website. Once you get to the website, you're going to want to click on education, which is where his cursor is, and then scroll down to where it says scholarship opportunities at Emmanuel. And then start scrolling up. And what you're going to find on the website right here is all the information you need in order to apply for one of the scholarships or find out even what is available. You'll see right at the very top that the deadline again is June 30th, 2024. I still can't say that enough, but it's listed there again. All of our contact information for Bob and for me is listed right on the fourth paragraph. He's highlighting it right now so that you can see that. If you want a quick response, the easiest way to get to us is to send us a text, or you can, if you want to pick up the phone and call, you can do that as well. The other thing is if you send an email, that's great too, but just know that we both get lots of emails, and make sure that you put Emmanuel Scholarships in the subject line so that we notice that, because we don't always know people's names who may be applying, especially people who aren't members at our church. So if you have any questions as I go through these different scholarships, make sure that you ask. But the first scholarship listed here is the Modeen Scholarship. And like I said, I just read you the qualifications that go with the Modeen. It's a specific targeted group. And I know we have some people on here that are interested in this because it has changed from last year. And so we'll go through that at the very end once we finish the other scholarships. But you can see on here that we have all of our scholarships organized by a brief description of who started the scholarship, who the applicants could be that are going to apply for this particular scholarship, the purpose of the scholarship. So what would you do with the money, and who qualifies for the money, and then the application process. And we tried to be as concise and explicit as possible on the application process. And what you'll see highlighted in a different color is the online application button, where you can click on that and it will take you, don't do it right now, but you can click on it. It will take you right to the application. And for each one of the scholarships, it's listed that way. Also, for everything that you need for the Modeen, it's listed down here where you can go through it, and we'll talk about all these different areas, but the directions, the there is no longer a rubric, but it is a checklist. So we'll talk about that as we go through the application, and then the forms that if you're completing the Modeen application, that you need to have filled out. The next scholarship that we have is the Wignall Scholarship, and I'm going to let Bob talk about that one.
The Wignall Scholarship is a scholarship that in the past was managed by our church scholarship committee. That has now changed, and it's now part of the Hartford Foundation for Public Giving. So you need to go to the Hartford Foundation for Public Giving website in order to apply for that. The deadline has passed. We're actually going to be analyzing the applicants starting today through the middle of next month, and we have a meeting on July 24th to decide on the applicants for that process. Also, what has changed about the Wignall, yes, it's still for Emmanuel Lutheran Church youth who are attending college, but it's no longer simply a four-year college that you have to be attending. It can be a two-year college or a technical college. So keep that in mind. Those scholarships for a community college can be up to $3,000, and I believe a four-year college scholarship can be up to $5,000, and there can be multiple recipients for each of those. You can reapply, so that if you're a freshman and you applied this year, you would be able to apply 3 more years. So you can do a total of 4 years. If you are attending a four-year school, you can apply for a total of 3 years if you're going to a community college or technical college.
And again, this is a different calendar, and so you'll have to watch the church bulletin news for when that window opens up, and we'll try to make sure that people know when that happens, but it is at a different time. In fact, I think they're getting ready to review the applications from last year.
That's what I said, yeah.
Okay.
We're going to be having a meeting on the 24th of July to discuss the applicants and see who might receive one of those scholarships. The application process window usually opens in September, but we will keep you informed as we hear about it. And there's about a couple of month window to apply for that
And
scholarship.
Rosie and Bob, I think the Modeen, the Wignall is available through what, February of this year, as far as application date?
Usually, this year was an anomaly because the government had such a foul up with a FAFSA
Oh,
uh,
right, right.
redo. So it actually wound up going for another couple of months, but normally it's through November. But each year the date changes within a few days. So we'll keep you abreast of that as we find out that the window is open and let you know what the closing date is for it. Because they have quite a bit of information that you need to submit, your letter, your FAFSA information, letters of recommendation, a general letter. So there's several pieces to that process that are specific to the Wignall Scholarship.
Good. Okay, moving right along. The next scholarship that we have is the Philip and Gertrude Nestor Scholarship. This is for graduating college seniors, and it says, and the rule says at the beginning of your senior year, it was designed to offer help with offset books and ancillary college expenses. Bob and I didn't know, I've worked with Modeen for a number of years, but Bob and I, until we took over all of the scholarships, didn't even realize that this was available to seniors. However, for seniors, the only thing you need to do, and I know we have 2 for sure that are going to be seniors this year, is just when you do the application, you're going to check that one that you are a senior. And I think from what we've heard is that those checks are usually given at the end of your year when you graduate, and it's kind of like a go celebrate and have a good time kind of scholarship, or use it to pay your fees or whatever. I think it's $150. So go out to dinner, do something fun and celebrate. Since I think what I've heard is that that's different. And if I'm going to make sure, and then we'll change what's on the website and let you know for sure. But anyway, so if you're a senior, make sure you check that box.
Even if you are not applying for the Wignall or the Modeen, it doesn't matter if you're a graduating senior, graduating from college, you qualify for the scholarship. And there's a really simple process to apply
to get that. So if you know anybody else, let them know. The next one is the John and Alma Olson Jacobson Scholarship. This is actually designed for primarily the same students who are applying for the Modeen, but you don't have to, but it's for needs-based, it's a needs-based scholarship, financial needs, and it's for students who are attending either a 4-year or college or university for financial assistance. So again, on this particular one, this is a different rule than we've had on the Modeen. And so now we're getting into different rules for the different scholarships. On this particular scholarship, if you are applying for both, and I'm sure that there will be some of you that are listening to this that will be applying for both of those scholarships. On this one, you're going to upload your transcript. However, if you upload it for Modeen, you don't have to upload it again. And I'll show you that when we get to the application. But you are going to write either a separate 1-page letter or do a 1 or 2 minute video explaining your financial need and how this funding is going to help you further your education. So you will be doing the Modeen requirements, but the checklist does not apply to this. This is just a 1-page letter or a 1 to 2 minute video explaining your financial need and how the funding will help you further your education. So I'm going to stop right there. Does anybody have any questions about that part? I see no, so that's good. Okay, the next 2 scholarships are kind of exciting in the fact that we have a new one kind of in the Judy Johnson Scholarship, and then we also have the Sven and Vern Carlson Scholarship. So let me explain those. These are community scholarships. And what that means is that they are designed for not only the students who attend Emmanuel Lutheran Church, so if you are a member of Emmanuel, you can apply for these scholarships, or if you are a neighborhood student and you would like to apply, you do not need to be a member of Emmanuel Lutheran Church to apply for either of these two scholarships. The difference is that the Sven and Fern Carlson Scholarship is for students who are pursuing an undergraduate education at either a 2 or 4-year college. And you need to be enrolled full-time. The Judy Johnson is different in that it's not just a 2 or 4-year community college, but it could be a community college or a technical school. So if you're going to do a technical school, you could apply for this particular scholarship as well. So the Judy Johnson is exciting for us in the fact that it is a new scholarship for Emmanuel Lutheran Church. However, it's also has a heritage in the fact that it used to be the Friday night program. And when it was a Friday night program, this was specifically just for neighborhood students who had participated in the Friday night program, which was kids in the neighborhood got together on Friday night, played basketball, and did all kinds of other kind of social activities. And then because of COVID, it kind of died, and we never got it resurrected. So this year, when unfortunately Judy Johnson passed away, she had played a major role in the Friday night program. So it was suggested that with the funds that the church received in her name, along with the funds from the Friday night program scholarship fund that was already there, that we pool those two funds together and create the Judy Johnson Scholarship. And that's how this name came to be. Again, for both of these scholarships, if you are applying, you will have a specific area on the application where we'll show you where that is. And you will be, again, doing either a 1-page letter or a 1 to 2 minute video explaining your financial need and how that funding will help you further your education. Questions on the community scholarships?
I have a quick question. Do all the letters have to be different for each of those?
Okay, they don't have to be different, except for the fact that if you're doing it, put in which one that you're doing. So if you're doing a video, you can say the same kind of thing. And if you're really good at editing on doing a video, you can just say, this is for the da-da-da-da scholarship, do your little video, and then say at the end, I plan to use the money for this from this scholarship, and say the name, and then do it that way. So if you're good at editing, you got it made. If not, then you can say the same exact thing, but just do a separate video for each one.
But, and for your 1-page paper, just make sure that each application addresses that specific scholarship. So just, that's the only part that has to change. Previously, we're requested completely different letters, and we're trying to streamline this so that it doesn't take as much effort on your part to qualify for these, so that you can use the same, bulk text for your request. Just address the specifics of that scholarship by name and anything that's pertinent to that scholarship.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Anything else? Good question. Thank you. Okay, we're into specialized scholarships, and these ones are for specific groups of people. The first one is the John Eric. Did I miss one? Oh, sorry. Missed the postgraduate scholarship. Sorry about that. So anyone that is a member of Emmanuel Lutheran Church can, if they're going for any kind of postgraduate work, it does not have to be a specific graduate program. If you're working on a master's degree, this could qualify. If you are like for education, because I can certainly speak to that. If you were a teacher and you want to pursue getting your certification to become an administrator, it would work for that. Or if you wanted to become a counselor, or you wanted to become a reading teacher, any of those kinds of things. If you are another profession and you want to pursue additional training that supports your career and you've got a graduate degree, you can go ahead and apply for this one. So it is graduate work level, but it doesn't necessarily have to be in a program. It could just be a college course on whatever, or it could be a conference even. That would work to qualify for this one. Again, it's a 1-page letter 1 or 2 page, 1 or 2 minute video. So just explaining financial need and how the further education will help you. The next one, these are specialized scholarships. So we have the John Eric Johnson Graduate Ministerial Scholarship, which is for Emmanuel Lutheran Church members who are pursuing postgraduate education in specialized services to the church. So we've had people who are members of the church who wanted to help teach. There's our dog, sorry about that. Who wanted to help maybe lead a class in a book study or something, who have gone off or who have wanted to, I'm not quite sure, but but
It's in furtherance of the
Yeah,
church as
there you go.
opposed to just general education.
there you go. So if that's something that you're interested in, you would do a 1-page letter or 1 to 2 minute video explaining your financial need, how it's going to help you. But you also need to have a recommendation from the pastor, the director of music, or other church designee. The next one is the Gladys and Stanley Sandberg Staff Continuing Education Scholarship. So again, this one is for Emmanuel Lutheran Church staff only. And again, they would need to have the pastor's recommendation, director of music, or some other designee to be able to apply for this, as well as do their 1-page letter or their 1 to 2 minute video. And last but not least in this category, and one that we really want to spread the word about, is the David E. Harper Music Scholarship. So this is for elementary, middle, and high school students. So any parents that are listening for this and or the camp scholarships, this is really exciting. And I have to say that we had our own daughters who were pursuing private vocal instrumental and well, actually vocal lessons at the time, and we had no idea that this was even part of what was offered at the church. So we want to spread the word about this. So even if you're in elementary and you are a pre-K student and you're doing Suzuki lessons and you want to help your child learn Suzuki piano or violin or whatever, you could apply for this. If you're middle or high school students and you're pursuing either vocal or you're pursuing an instrument and you're doing private lessons, all you need to do is upload a 1-page letter or a 1 to 2 minute video explaining how you how the funding will help you and how it could further your ability to play or sing a musical instrument, or your voice musical instrument, your own voice. I hear that from my daughter all the time. So the other thing is that you need to have a recommendation, probably from the director of music, which is Jonathan. The church pastor could do it, or the designee. And last but not least, on the application, we'll show you where that is. If you are interested in applying for the David E. Harper Music Scholarship, we do ask how you might be able to share your talent with the church. So that could be in the way of helping to do something at a church service, performing. It could be that you're going to be in Lucia. It could be and do something there. It could be that you help with a Sunday school program and help them by, just performing for them or leading them in singing or something. So again, we can, if you want to do this, we can help you find a way to share your talent and your gifts with the church.
Okay, before we go on to the camp scholarship, there was a question: can the ministerial scholarship be used for the Synod's School of Lay Ministry? Yes, I believe that would be
I think that would
an
be excellent.
example.
Yes, thank you. And camp scholarships, this is new this year as far as filling out the application. And again, as I said before, it's to help us stay organized and to make sure that we don't miss anyone. So it's as simple as just filling out sections 2 and section 7, and we'll show you that as we go through the application. But we do have, for anyone attending Camp Calumet during the summer, we do have funding available to help offset that cost. So before we leave the website, is there anybody that has any questions about any of these scholarships other than Modeen? Okay, Bob, you can just click on Camp Calumet. It will take us to the scholarship. So like I said, any of those hot links there will take you to the scholarship application. And when you get there, this is what it looks like. So as you can see, we have the description at the very top, just going through it. Actually, will tell you the different sections that you need to fill out for the scholarships that you're looking for. So section 2, everyone needs to complete, and you'll see in a minute why. That's just simply the demographics. When you get to section 3, this is Modeen, for anyone that's applying for an education scholarship. So you'll see the listing of all of those. When you get to section 4, that's Modeen specific. When you get to section 5, those are the community scholarships along with the John and Alma Olson Jacobson scholarship. When you get to section 6, you're looking at the specific scholarships, again, that we just talked about. And section 7 is going to be the camp scholarships and the last section is optional for anyone who would like to fill that out. And that's simply giving us any additional comments, and I'll show you that in a minute. Again, it gives you the deadline. So hopefully we've got that out midnight, June 30th, 2024. So
See, we emphasize this because a couple of years ago, there was a power failure in the greater Hartford area. Guess what day that happened to be? June 30th. So those people
had a
had a
time.
difficult time because they had to go someplace else to be able to get online. So we're trying to get people to front load this by
To
getting
do it
their
early,
information
yes,
early.
to do it early. So anyway, don't wait till the last minute. I know it's hard to do, but whatever. So again, our contact information is on here. For more information, you can see that. So if you have any questions or whatever, the other thing too, and I'll say this again at the very end, but for anyone leaving before we get to the very end of this webinar, is that if you get your application in before the 29th, and you would like us to check to make sure that you've included everything, we can't do it on the last 2 days because it will be crazy. I mean, after the 29th. So make sure that you get it in before that, but I can't do everybody that's applying the last day. But if you get it in sooner, and you call, text, or email me, we will go out and make sure that you've included everything and that you're good to go. So, so moving down here, what you're going to see before you can click on next is it's going to say your email address. And if this is not the email that you would like to have your information submitted under, you can switch the account. So if you have more than one Google account that you want to switch it to, you can switch it there. But before you leave this section, you'll see that email in the next box has an asterisk by it. You cannot go forward in the application until you've click the little box right there, and then you can click on next. I think that's the only place in the application where that happens. So we're at the demographic part. This is the part, no matter what scholarship that you're applying for, you're going to complete. And the first question is just to put down which scholarships you're applying for. So again, you can apply for as many scholarships as you qualify for, and you only need to complete one application. And so once you've done that, if there's something that we missed on here, I hope we didn't, but if there is, and you're applying for something else, go ahead and click other. Then we're going to ask you to put in your best email address to contact you in case we have any questions, your applicants, your name, your home address, your mailing school address. And this is primarily for Modeen and anyone who's going to school, so that we have contact information. If you know what that is before, like you're going back to the same place where you were last year, or you already know what dorm you're going to be in or whatever, make sure that you put that on there. So if we have any questions during the year, we can, but also so that we can make sure that you get your funding and any announcements or news that we might need to share with you. You're going to put down your home phone and your cell phone. And if your cell phone is the same as your home phone, like ours are, then just put the same phone number twice, or you can put your parents' number and your number if you want to do something like that. Section 3 is for any of the education scholarships. And again, this is like a generic place. So you're going to put in what type of school program you're attending. So whether it's a 4-year college, a 2-year technical school, graduate school, or something else, and you can go ahead and put that in, and then tell us what it is. The name of your college, university, or your program, the degree that you're pursuing, and what year in school that you happen to be. And again, once you get past this, we're going to go into the financial needs. So there's your tuition, your room and board, and you're going to just tell us as close to what you anticipate those costs to be. So you don't have to know exactly, but give us your best guess on all of those. You're going to put in your fees. So if you got lab fees or, you know, additional projected costs, that's where that would go. Any, the amount of that you're going to be spending on books, and any projected, number 16 is going to be any other costs that you may have that you expect to have. And that it would include, just for example, if you're going to school in Michigan and you need to travel back and forth, that would be your travel costs. If you are living at home and you're driving, that might be your travel costs. So again, any other expenses that you may have. And then if you're currently receiving financial aid, yes, no, or if you're not sure, you can click maybe and or you're still waiting, or if there's something else, you can put something in there to clarify anything that you want us to know as a committee. And if you're receiving financial aid, what that source and the amounts are. So if you've got 2 or 3 different sources, go ahead and list all 3 of those, or 2 or 1 or whatever. And last but not least, list your latest GPA on a 4-point scale. And again, the only scholarship that requires a 2.5 or above is the Modeen. So the rest of those,
Wignall also.
oh, Wignall. Okay, but that's not on this
And
application.
Wignall is needs-based. That's the first cut criteria, if I didn't mention that.
Okay, so next we have section 4. This is for Modeen scholars only. So just quickly, so that we're going to go through this real quickly. So back to the top, and I'm not going to explain all the different pieces, but the first thing that you're going to do is upload your transcript. Then you're going to upload the acknowledgement form, and we'll talk about that, but this is where it would go. The completed Modeen service hour form, and we'll talk about that when we finish here with the rest of the application. Your 2-page letter or your 3-minute video addressing each of the elements of the checklist. So this is where you would put that. The next part is you're going to let us know if you are a member in good standing, and for people who are applying for this, that means that you have contributed financially to the church during the past year as an individual. So if you haven't done that already, you still have time to do that, but that's what that's talking about. The application provides true and accurate representation of your academic and financial situation. So you click yes or no. That you're going to be enrolled as a full-time student in the upcoming year, and I will forfeit the funds for the semester if I'm not enrolled as a full-time student. We've had to put that on, so click yes or no, but technically yes, because we've had students who weren't enrolled full-time thinking they could use the second half of their scholarship for the second year, even though they'd graduated or they'd finished that second half of the semester, the second semester, and they weren't in school, and the scholarship, the way it's written, says, no, you can't do that. You have to be enrolled as a full-time student. So this is on there primarily just to make sure that you understand that you have to be enrolled as a full-time student in order to qualify for the funding or the scholarship. The next part is that you understand the checklist, and that you have gone back and checked it thoroughly to make sure that everything is the way you want it, and that you've submitted your letter and video without a specified within the specified time frame, meaning that we've had students who didn't realize that it had to be done at the same time. So that's on there for your signature. Again, that you've talked with Pastor Mark and or his or her designee about your volunteer hours, and you've gotten your forms signed. So that is on here. And last but not least, by entering your name, that you are attesting to the fact that you reviewed all the information and have that's provided on this form, and that your form is complete and accurate to the best of your ability, and that you understand that any questions without a response may disqualify you from being considered for the application. So just make sure everything is completed. And again, like I said, if you get it in before the 29th and you're like me and you want to make sure that, like I would be doing, you want to make sure everything is there, then just make sure that you let us know and we will check it so you can rest assured. So I'm going to stop right here. So far, any questions on what we've covered? Good. Okay. The next part is all the other education scholarships. So other than the Modeen, if you're applying for one of the other education scholarships, this is where you would add your information. So again, when we went through that, we talked about if you are applying for Modeen and one of these, we're right here where it says that you need to upload your transcript. If you really want to upload it again, you can, but you don't need to because we've already got your transcript. So just know you can upload it twice or you don't need to. For each one of the different scholarships, as we've already clarified, there's a place where you can upload each of your letters. So 31 is for the John and Alma Olson Jacobson letter or the video. 32 is for the Spin Carlson one-page letter or video. The next one is for the Judy Johnson Scholarship. And the last one is for the Elizabeth Jacobson Scholarship. So you would upload your videos or letters for each one of those that you're applying for. Then again, the next one is that this application is true and accurate to the best of your ability. You understand that you have to be enrolled as a full-time student in order to get the funds for the semester, and that you've entered your name because the information is complete and accurate. Questions on this part, other education application items? Okay. The next part is a specialized scholarship. So again, this is for the people who are applying for the graduate ministerial scholarship or the staff scholarship or the David Harper scholarship. And so again, you would put in your one-page letter or your 1-minute video explaining your financial need and how the spending will help you achieve that goal. And if I were a parent doing this for my child, I would probably have my child help me by showing what they're doing vocally already or musically with their instruments, and maybe get them to talk a little bit as well if they're doing a video, or you can have them help you write the letter, whatever you'd like to do. You need to make sure that you have a recommendation from the church pastor, director of music, or church supervisor or designee. Again, this is a short and sweet, just a one, like it can even be a sentence, but something that with their signature on it that says that they approve of you applying for this application. You're going to right here, like I said earlier, describe how you plan to share your talent and what you've learned from your continuing education, what you hope to learn from your continuing education with your lessons from this with the church community. So again, thinking about what you might want to share, it doesn't have to be more than a sentence or two, but just be thinking about how you can use your gifts to share it with the rest of the church. And again, it's the same questions. This provides true and accurate representation of my academic financial situation, and your name below to attest that it's complete and accurate. And by the way, if you're not doing any of these other scholarships, like this section is a good example, you can just hit next and continue on to the next section. The next section is camp scholarships. So if you're not applying for a camp scholarship, you'll be able to skip, like I just said. But for all of the parents who have students who are applying for camp scholarships, you're going to list their name here, first, last, middle, or first and last is fine. If you want to put the middle in, that's fine. The grade that they're going to be attending at camp, the grade of the student who's attending Camp Calumet, the parent's first and last name, the best method to contact the parent for more information should we need it. So just put in the best way to contact you. The week the student will be attending camp, and again, that you've reviewed everything for the application and it's complete and accurate. Questions on Camp Calumet? Okay, and the last section for this is optional. Like I said at the beginning, it's for anyone that would like to give us comments about the application. So if there's something that you liked, you can tell us. If there's something you didn't like, tell us, because this is the first time we've used this scholarship. And if there's things we need to revise for next year, the committee would really like to know. And or if there's any additional information that we didn't ask you as you're applying for this that you would like us to know about you, this is a place where you can put in that additional information. And then once you're finished, you're going to submit the form, and we'll do that in a minute. But before we do, any questions from anybody about the application? Perfect. Okay. I mean, not perfect, but if you think of something, you can still ask. And so, Bob, you can just go ahead and hit submit so they can see what happens when it's done. And what you should get when it's done is something that looks like this. If you decide later that you want to edit your response before the 30th, when it's cut off, you can still do that. And if you want to submit another response, if you're a parent and you've got if you got additional kids who are either doing music lessons or going to summer camp, or they're doing both. If they're doing both, the Harper and the Camp Calumet, they can fill out the same application, but one per student, so one per child. So if you need to do another one, you don't have to go back out. You can just say that you want to submit another response. And it should take you right back to the application so you can do another one. Okay, so with that, if anyone who would like to stay on for the Modeen is welcome to, but before you leave, I just want to say that we will be doing as a committee, the deadline again is June 30th, 2024. The committee meets on July 11th. We may or may not complete our work on that day, but that's the first day that we're meeting. And so just look for information from the committee as to whether you are receiving a scholarship or not, hopefully by receiving a scholarship, but by August, the first part of August. So if you have questions and you got into August 5th and you haven't heard anything, you can certainly call, text, or email me and I'll keep you informed. But we're hoping to have all the decisions made by the first part of August. So with that, Bob, why don't we go back to the church website? And we'll go through the Modeen information because I know we've got people who are sitting here waiting to hear that. And for all of you who are completing this, we have the committee worked on this for several months, trying to see if there was a way that we could streamline it, that we can make it easier than it has been previously for people to do this, to try to make it a little bit more fun, which is the video. If you're someone like me, you probably would write a letter because that's just what I would do. But I know that there's a lot of you that are in school now that have had to, for assignments, create videos that some of you are getting probably pretty good at it, much better than I am. And so you would rather do a video and talk to us as opposed to writing a letter. So now you have that option. I think that's great. So that's one of the biggest things that we've done this year to revise it. I'm going to go ahead and have Bob click on first the Modeen Scholarship Directions. It's right down here on the button.
It's already up.
Oh, that's okay. Just click on it so they can see. It's a hot link. He already has it on his on his thing, but whatever, in a file. So this is the Modeen Scholarship Directions, and so it's very, very specific as we could be. So you're going to, under letter and video, these are the actual requirements of what you should be looking at and doing when you're either writing the letter or the video. Again, it gives you the formatting, it gives you the time, that kind of thing. So I'll let you kind of look at that. The formatting and conventions, if you're writing the letter or if you're doing, I think that's pretty much more for the letter than it is for the video. But for the video, what you're going to really need to pay attention to is the audio part and making sure that the video is even clear, because sometimes if we can't hear you, if it's not clearly stated what you're trying to explain to us, that's not going to help your cause any. So just make sure that it's easy to follow what it is that you're trying to say. So that's really the format and conventions. A big piece of the Modeen is the service. And so we'll go through the forms, but make sure that you've completed at least those 10 hours, and they must be completed before June 30th, your application deadline, and have been signed off by the church pastor or his designee, and the supervisor. So let's say you sing in the choir, you're going to need Jonathan's signature along with pastors. If you're working in the food pantry, you're going to need Naomi's signature along with the pastor's signature. So make sure that you get both of those. I know that Pastor Olson is very, very good at doing things either by Zoom, by probably FaceTime, and also by having you send him something, he can sign it and get it back to you. So work with him. You don't necessarily have to go in and see him in person. Is that what you're going to say? And he's made that really clear for us to make sure that we explain that to you. Again, you need to have a 2.5 GPA or higher in order to qualify. As far as, I'm trying to read this too, you need to be a 10 to 4-year college, full-time university college. And you also need to be a member of good standing. And I explained that to you. But again, that's that you've made a contribution financially to the church. No amount is stipulated, so that's up to you. But you've made a contribution and you still, if you haven't done that, you still have time to do that. Questions on the checklist, because I went through that pretty fast.
It's online, so you can review it.
Yes, and again, if you get into this and you have questions, please email, call, text. And like I said, text is probably the easiest and the fastest if you're in a hurry to get a response or pick up or the phone. If I don't always have my phone with me, but if I don't, I check it frequently and I will get right back to you. Okay, the next one that we're going to look at is the checklist. So a lot of this you're going to, you clicked on directions. Do we not have that right?
I clicked on the same one twice.
Oh,
Well, maybe not.
maybe not. Okay, so the checklist, Plan B, do you have the checklist on here? So we will get this corrected first thing in the morning. We will be contacting Morgan because we've been correcting a few things all this week. So we'll make sure that we get that corrected. Do you have a copy of the checklist?
He's figure out how I can easily get to it.
So, well,
it's the most important part.
yeah, it is. It is. So just to let you know, when you see it, you will note that it's exactly pretty much the same as what you were, well, pretty much the same as what you were supposed to do before with the rubric. Yeah, there we go. So you'll see it's really, really similar. However, we've taken out the rubric and the scoring piece of this. And so now it is basically, you need to hit all of these items in order to be able to get a scholarship. So what we would highly suggest is that you read through, you write your script, you write your letter, you go back, you record yourself, because sometimes if you're not talking from a script, you're going to forget something. And you want to make sure that you didn't miss anything. If you're doing a video, you want to make sure that in your letter that you've got everything. I would probably suggest, and this is, you can do it any way that you want, be as creative as you want. So don't just listen to me, but I would make sure, if it was me, I would probably organize it like I would like an outline for a presentation. And I would just go bing, 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 bing down the list. I'd start with the description about who I am and my strengths and my personality traits. And then I go into my church involvement, and then I go into my community and faith and talk about that, my reflections, and then finally any other information that I wanted people to know about me. So that's one way to organize it. You don't have to do it that way. You can be as creative as you want. You can think about when you were in school and you were doing the SBAC or you were doing the CMTs and they told you that you needed to be creative and you couldn't, then you had whatever. So whatever works for you is good. But the bottom line is, when you go back and you check your letter, when you go back and listen to your video, you should be able to check off each one of these areas and each one of these boxes, because I can tell you right now, that's what the committee is going to be doing when they read your application letter or they watch your videos. Questions on this part, the checklist or the directions? Okay, yeah, it should be pretty straightforward, I hope. Like I said, we really tried to revise it to the best that we could. So making it as simple as possible. Next, back on the scholarship application, the next thing that you'll see down there is you can click on the application. So we'll go back to that in a minute. But the next part, do the Modeen Scholar Acknowledgement form. So this form right here, and we kind of go back and forth on this, but if you were applying if you have already applied and received a Modeen scholarship, when you got your award before and you signed, this is what you signed in order to accept the Modeen scholarship. So you basically talked about how you were going to do your service hours. you got the supervisor for your service hours and the pastor. And the supervisor, by the way, is new. That's something Pastor Olson is requiring, because he feels like the supervisor knows that what you've done as far as your hours, where if you just came straight to him, he may or may not know. So he wants the supervisor sign off on there as well as his. But most of you will have a conversation with Pastor Olson as you do this form and get it signed, so that you cannot get your check until this is completed. So once you find out that you have a scholarship. So the piece that he wants to make sure that you know is that you do not have to, if you go off to school and then you figure all this out because you find out that you go before you're in school. I know we've got students who aren't coming home for the summer, whatever. You can actually meet with him virtually and he will help you get this completed. So don't feel like you have to go in and see him in person. That's not the case, but you can still have that conversation with him,
And
which
if things change and you're at school out of state and you don't have easy access to a local Lutheran church, we can work through other kinds of volunteering that might be a local church in that community or other volunteer work that would qualify.
So again, don't make this a handicap kind of thing for you. Just work with him, work with us, and we can make sure that we figure out a way for you to get these service hours either while you're here during your vacation time or away while you're at school. And one thing to let you know, we did have a conversation with the church council. I'm not sure if Rick is still on here. I don't think so. But one of the things that they're doing is putting together a list for us that we can post on the church scholarship website area of things that you can do in order to do this. And one of the things they're looking at specifically is what kinds of things might you be able to do while you're away at school. So some of that might be some data entry, some working with Morgan on the website, for example. So some things like that in order to help you get those service hours during the course of the year.
When you're away.
When you're away. Now this, for people who are applying first time, this is where I go back and forth because it says I am a new applicant at the top. And if you just write down, so he's pointing to that, just write down the things that you plan to do for your 10 hours or more, or things that you've already been doing. You're still going to get the signature from the supervisor that says, and from the pastor saying that that's okay for you to do those. It's just that you're going to probably be doing those in the opposite order. But when you get the next one that we show you, the next form completed, just get this one signed at the same time and it'll make it easy if you're a first time applicant.
So this is completed service.
So completed service. So for those of you who have completed your service hours, this is the form that you need to have completed and signed. So you're going to download this form. You're going to put in what you've done. If you've done more than 2 things, what you're going to do is just download 2 of these sheets.
Xerox it.
Just,
whatever.
yeah, copy it and then complete it that way. So like if you're singing the choir, you were an usher and you worked in the food pantry, then you would get the signatures from those 3 different people, as far as the person who's in charge of ushering, the person who is in charge of the food pantry, which is Naomi or Jonathan's for music. So, and then along with the pastor, make sure you have the pastor's signature, and then you can upload this in the area where we told you to upload it. And on the application, we'll go back to that. So those are the forms. Any questions on the forms? Okay, one last thing. Let's go back to the application and we'll go back to Modeen just so you can see once again where to upload that information. So again, if you're gonna have to click the box in order to move forward. And then the next part, everybody's going to fill out. That's your demographics. You don't have to do it. Just go down
I
and
just
click
did
next.
Modeen, that's
Yep.
when we did it.
Okay. And then education scholarships, you'll be completing this one. This is just all your financial and other information. And then this one is for Modeen scholarship only. So here again, you're going to put in your latest transcript. So you put it here, you can put it in the other one for other education scholarships or not, but as long as we have one transcript, that's all you need to do. The other thing is, I forgot to say, is that you do not have to have, I always get this question, you do not have to have an official transcript in order to apply. So if you haven't gotten one, it's okay. However, before you can get a check from the church, if you get the scholarship, you have to have an official transcript. So if you have time to get the official transcript, it will save you later from having to scramble and get an official transcript. So if you have the official transcript, go ahead and upload it. If you don't, then you'll have to get it later when you get your Modeen scholarship or any of the education scholarships. This is where you're going to put in your Modeen scholar acknowledgement form. So if you're already an Modeen Scholar Award recipient, you'll put in the form that you did at the beginning of this year, saying that this is what you plan to do during the year. If you're new, you're going to just tell us what it was that you were going to do. You've now done it, and you're getting the signatures from the supervisor and the pastor for both that form and the completed Modeen service hour confirmation form at the same time. And number 22 is where you're going to upload your completed Modeen service hour confirmation. Again, make sure that it's signed by the supervisors and the pastor. And I say that because we've had people who have not had them signed when they submit them and they don't count. So make sure that you do get those signed. This is the next one. You skipped 23. Yeah, this is where you're going to put the 2-page letter or the 3-minute video. So you're going to upload that there. And then you're going to go through and check that you're a member in good standing. So yes or no, the application is true and as accurate as possible for your academic and financial situation. That you understand that you have to be enrolled as a full-time student, and that down at number 27, that you have read and understand the criteria for the checklist, and that you've gone back and reviewed everything is to the best of your ability. The next one is that you met with Pastor Olson or his designee. Right now, we used to do the designee when we didn't have a pastor for a year, so we just left that in just in case, but he's pretty easy to get a hold of and talk about the service hours. And then the last one is that by entering your name, that you attest that everything is complete and accurate. So that's basically it for the Modeen scholarship. And so if you have any questions, this is the time to ask.
Pretty much covers it.
Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and say my ending. But again, if at any time you have any questions, anything that you need, make sure that you reach out to Bob and me. The last thing too, I forgot to say is that for any of these scholarships, and I should have said it before, but especially for Modeen, we do have committee members who are standing by ready to help you and assist you on a personal appointment basis to go through and help you complete the application, make your video, make sure that your letter is to the best of your ability. You've included everything. If I would imagine if you want them to review it, that they could probably do that and give you suggestions, since we are now offering tutorial help to anybody that needs it. So if that's the case and you want to make an appointment to talk with someone, just let me know. And again, you can text me, email me, and we will set you up with an appointment to meet with one of the committee members, right? Okay, so again, we'd like to thank you for being here today and for your interest in Emmanuel Lutheran Church Scholarship. If you have any questions while you're applying for one or more of the scholarships, please don't hesitate to contact Bob or me. Also, if you need any help completing your applications, or our committee is standing by to help you on an as-need basis, and that's for any of the applications. Please contact Bob or me if you would like to make an appointment for individual help with your application. You can also contact us if you want to make sure your application has been uploaded correctly and you have uploaded everything you need, but you must complete your application early before June 29th, as we will not have time to get back to everyone on the last few days. So again, we encourage everyone to get your application completed as soon as possible. Then if you want to make sure that you have everything, you can check with us before June 29th, and we'll get back to you and let you know if you're good to go or if you're missing something. Again, our contact information is located on the church website and on the online application form. We look forward to receiving your application and hope you have an enjoyable summer. Thanks again for attending our webinar today.